are the champion, the one that holds the line and finishes the mission. Everything that you want is within your grasp. You wake up in the morning ready to dominate the day, and every step taken is with purpose and integrity, because you were not put on this planet to live a mediocre existence. You are here to conquer and make the biggest impact possible, not only for yourself, but for your family and for your tribe. This world is a battlefield, and we will be victorious. This is the Norse Mentality.
What's up, guys? I hope that you are having a glorious day. If this is your first time listening to the Norse Mentality, my name is Andy Lewis, and with me here is the cowboy himself, Cody Whitley, and this entire podcast is designed to help you reach your true potential and live life to its fullest. On every episode, me and Cody talk about different things that we think will help you do that, and almost every single thing that we talk about are things that we've had to work through ourselves, things that we've discovered, tools, whatnot, and we share our perspective with the hopes that it will help you. And with that being said, today, we're going to be diving into how to develop a daily plan of attack, weekly, monthly, everything. This has been the one thing that has changed the trajectory of my life the most, because I used to be extremely unorganized. I procrastinated beyond belief, and it wasn't up until I was about 25. My daughter was born. I knew that I wanted to start my own business, become self-employed. Norse was kind of a thing, but because I was disorganized and procrastinated and everything else, it really wasn't going anywhere. But I decided then that I was going to turn this into something. And I quickly realized that my time management skills were awful. I had some work to do. So I started diving into books. I hired mentors, watched endless YouTube videos, read blog posts, everything that you can think of. I did this for years, really trying to better myself in regards to this whole aspect of things. And it worked. Now I would consider myself a very efficient person, to the point where I have my own planner. It's called the Norse Planner. We're going to be using it as a reference today. And if you want to grab one, go to norsefitness.co. But learning all of these things is what has allowed me to grow Norse into what it is. It's allowed me to still make time for my family and also pursue self-improvement. One of the things that I hate the most, or whenever entrepreneurs say, I don't have time to work out. The one thing you need to be doing is working out.
In some form.
You need to be exercising, because your body and mind are connected. How are you going to be able to think of new business ideas? How are you going to perform at your best if you are an unhealthy piece of shit that eats terrible foods, you don't exercise, all these different things? So getting everything dialed in, coming up with this daily schedule, weekly schedule, all of this different stuff that we're going to talk about on this episode is what allows you to live life to its fullest. Now, I am approaching this from an entrepreneur standpoint, but I know that this is something that you've also struggled with as well, right?
Yeah, from age roughly 19 to 26, 27, I worked night shift at the hospital. So my days were just very different than, the normal 9 to 5. The majority of people are up during the day, sleep at night. I was the exact opposite. So if I was working 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. and I got off that morning and I didn't have to go back that night, I still had to sleep. And to get adequate sleep, 7-8 hours, you leave the hospital at 7:30, you might be in bed by 8:30. So I would sleep till 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So, and to flip that schedule, I needed to go to bed at a decent time as well. So that 7-hour period that I was awake, it was just kind of maintenance. What do I need to get done? Because there was no plan, because I knew I was up for a very short amount of time.
You're just kind of coasting through life.
Yeah, and with direction, but directionless on my time off, I guess is a good way to put it.
So the main thing here that we need to look at when it comes to why should I develop a daily plan of attack? Can you live without one? Absolutely. Obviously, most people do. But what I have found is that you're unorganized throughout the day. You're just kind of doing random shit. And most of the stuff that you do, because you have not created this plan of attack, are not heavy hitting items. They're not items that are going to move the needle the most, because you're just kind of coming up with shit out of thin air on a daily basis, compared to if you start with what I consider, or what I call, the Sunday ritual, where every Sunday I sit down for 30 minutes to an hour and I write out everything that I need to get done for the upcoming week. And then from there, I reorganize it by priority. What's the top priority here? And I list everything else out. This is what allows me to go into every week with intention and purpose and guidance. Like I have the roadmap here. It makes it so much easier because I just take a little bit of time on Sunday to figure out everything. It's a giant brain dump. I just throw everything out there. I get it out. I have a visual of it. And then I can plan for Monday, which leads me to my next point. The one thing that I found the most beneficial when it comes to developing your plan of attack is doing it the night before. There are numerous benefits to this. For one, it's going to allow you to go to sleep quicker because what's the one thing that keeps us up at night the most? It's sitting there thinking about all the shit that we need to get done the next day. When you take a little bit of time before bed and you go ahead and plan out your next day, that shit's out of your head. You're not thinking about it anymore. But what I love the most about it is that you can use it as motivation. You can use it as intention and purpose because as soon as you wake up, you know exactly what needs to get done. Your feet hit the floor and you get to work. That's the benefit of doing it the night before compared to getting up, kind of just dragging ass, sitting down, writing out everything that you need to get done. How much time is wasted there compared to just jumping out of bed and getting to work because you already have it figured out?
Well, that's also how, me in the past has forgotten to do very important things as well. If it's top of mind before I go to sleep and I don't get it out of my head, you might wake up the next morning and forget that you have this big thing to do.
Exactly. Or you might have to pull out your phone and write it down real quick because you just remembered it. So you're getting that blue light in your eye as you're laying down to go to sleep, which is going to keep you up longer. It's just not what you want to do. And this can all be avoided by just planning out your day the night before. I promise, guys, give this a shot and it's going to change the entire game for you. So we have the entire day planned out the night before, but what does that look like? When we're filling out our plan of attack, what are all the things that we need to cover here? So this is when I open up the Norse Planner and I use it as a reference. So I like to do everything in 3-hour blocks. That's easier to manage instead of just having like each hour listed and shit like that. So from here you see 6 to 9, 9 to 12, 12 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to 9, 9 p.m. and later. Doing it in those 3-hour blocks with only, a few lines here, it stops you from overstacking that time period. But it's also like I can break it up. I can look at it and say, okay, this is my morning. Cool. This is afternoon. This is my night. All right, awesome. And then from there, I actually go in reverse. So I'll write down what time I'm going to go to bed. That way it's consistent because if we want good quality sleep, we need to make sure that we're going to bed at a consistent time. And then I'll do my nighttime routine. Even though I plan every single night and I have for years, I still write down plan. I still write down go on my walk because that's how I clear my head. That's how I reflect on the day. It's a very important part of my nightly ritual is going on that walk. Also doing yoga, getting a stretch, all that good stuff, especially if I just got done working out. So write down what time I go to bed, write down my nighttime routine, and then I shoot up to the top. This is the most important part of the day. Once again, we want to be waking up at a consistent time every single day because it allows our body to adapt to that and it becomes almost predictable. Instead of waking up all over the place, okay, you go to bed at the same time, you wake up at the same time. Your quality of sleep is going to skyrocket if you do that. But why the morning routine is so important is because how you start your day is going to set the tone for the remainder of the day. If you want to stack victories, you need to do it first thing in the morning. I also say this, if you wake up and you just don't have any motivation, start finding shit to do. Just little small things that need to get done. If you already have it planned out, that's one less thing you have to think about. That's less energy that you have to put into it. So start stacking victories first thing in the morning. Write down what you need to do as part of your morning routine. And then from there, it's just filling in the blanks. Because it's so easy to fill time with work and things that we don't necessarily realize are not important. Like work is important, but is work more important than family? Absolutely not. Is work more important than exercise? No. That's why I go in and I fill that stuff in first. So nighttime routine, morning routine, and then I go in and I fill in like, when am I going to work out? What am I going to do with the family that night? Then I'll go in and plan out all the work I need to get done. But it would be very easy for me to fill up from the time I wake up until I go to bed with nothing but work. But when you take a step back and it's like, okay, what matters most in life? And that's what we have to ask ourselves here. What are our morals and values? See, like this is going deeper than just, oh, I just need to plan out my day. It's like, no, like let's set an intention here. Let's approach every day with purpose. What really matters most? If you have a family, that family matters most, because when you're 90 years old, you're not going to be thinking about all the time that you worked. You're going to be thinking about all the time that you spent with your family.
I think this is a really hard thing to do because of the societal conditioning that we've dealt with for the past
grind culture, baby.
100 years, man, where, you know, it's become almost this identity of, you know, I work 12 hours every day. So if you work 12 hours a day, you have 12 hours left to sleep and eat and get, you know, just basic shit done. And that, I think, is the hardest thing for a lot of people to fight, because they think that, you know, I would say the majority of people work a 9 to 5, like American culture, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. That has become people's new normal, when in all reality, we've had this conversation in the past, busy does not equal productivity.
No.
You can get the same amount of stuff done if you really get dialed in maybe 4 hours versus that 8 hour period.
So there's numerous things there. The 8 hour workday, 10 hour workday, whatever, didn't come around until the Industrial Revolution. And Henry Ford is actually the one that developed this whole fucking thing that we base our entire work structure around. Some old fuck 100 years ago that wanted to use people to the max in order to profit off of it came up with the schedule that we are still using today. And only up until recently, people are starting to question it. Is this the most effective? There's a lot of studies being done in Iceland, particularly about the 4-day work week.
Big proponent of that.
And they are seeing huge results with it. But this whole 8 hour workday shit, 10 hour workday, 12 hour workday, it's a waste of time. And the reason it is a waste of time is because studies have shown that 99% of people can only be productive, like truly productive, dialed the fuck in for 4 to 5 hours during the day. Then the rest of the time, you're just kind of getting shit done. That's why, for me, when I'm filling out the daily planner, 9 to 12 is deep work for me. You guys know that. Everyone knows that. My phone's usually on silent. It's on airplane mode, and I'm getting shit done. Whatever I write down is what I'm tackling. But it's because I know that, okay, from 9 to 12, this is when I am most alert. I haven't really done anything to drain me of mental energy yet, so I can really dive into work. I can get as much shit done as possible. And then I know that around noon, if I really just give it my all for 3 to 4 hours, I'm kind of maxed out. And that's usually when I'll take a break, maybe go on a walk, go work out, maybe read. So when we're filling out the daily planner, that's also what we need to think about as well, is what are the priorities? What does my day look like? When can I be the most productive? When am I going to have the most energy? And what am I going to place in that time block? I know for a fact that I am most productive between the hours of 9 to 1. I have experimented with this, and that is when I'm most productive. So what is a priority for me during that time period? Is to get as much work done as possible. That way I don't have to work tonight when my daughter's at home. Or that way I can work out from 3 to 5 and I don't have to worry about, did I get enough work done? Yes, I did, because I busted ass during my prime time. And I call this deep work. That's what we do here. Like, we experimented with this for a minute where we barricaded all of Norse, locked the fucking doors, no sunlight coming in, and we set timers for 90-minute blocks. And we worked. And then after about 90 minutes, we'd take a 15 to 30-minute break, bullshit, eat some food, walk around, and then we would dive back into another 90 minutes. We got more shit done in that 4 hours than I would say most people do in a week. And it's because employers think that, okay, they need to be here for 8 hours. Well, how much of that 8 hours are you actually working? Or are you playing on your phone? Are you staying around with your thumb in your ass? We need to question these things. But going back to figuring out when do you have the most energy? When are you going to be the most productive? What is the height here? And what are you going to put in that 3 to 5 hours? Because like I said, this is what studies have shown. This isn't me just making shit up. We only have a capacity of really deep work for 3 to 5 hours. What are we going to spend that on? Or are we going to waste it on stupid shit like scrolling through social media? I don't even check my phone until noon usually. I have to get shit done first before I'll open up Instagram. And then I just don't get anything from it anymore because I no longer look at social media as something for pleasure, right? For me, it's business media. But because I resist, or I've developed that resistance to not check it until noon, I just don't have an urge to anymore. And that's how I'm able to get so much shit done the first 6 hours of the day, is because I'm not tempted by all this other shit. I know exactly how I work, how I operate best, and I fill that time in appropriately.
So your productive hours from 9 to 1, you know, in that 4-hour block that you need to stack the most physically draining, mentally draining stuff first.
I would say mentally draining, because here's the thing. Mentally draining, that's that 3 to 5 hours, right? Like you can only mentally focus on something fully for 3 to 5 hours. Physical though, I can go on a 15-hour hike and push through that. It's very hard to push through mental fatigue. It's very easy to push through physical fatigue. And that's why I like to save my workout till later on. I know a lot of people, they love working out first thing in the morning. I also enjoy it, but I also know that that comes as a sacrifice, because that's usually going to result in wasted brain effort as well. Because during that workout, like my workouts are usually pretty intense. I only work out 3 to 4 days a week, and I got to make sure that like I'm getting the best bang for my buck during that time period. When I work out first thing in the morning, I am mentally drained. Like I just have brain fog. I'm useless, honestly, for an hour or two. That doesn't help me from 9 to 12 whenever I'm engaged in deep work. Hey guys, if you're anything like me, you're balls to the wall from the time you wake up until you go to bed. And at some point in the day, you're going to start losing energy and motivation. That's why I always take a scoop of focus around noon. It helps me get dialed back in, and it's pretty much coffee on steroids. If you want to grab a container for yourself, go to norsefitness.co and use the code podcast15 to save 15% on focus today. If you have the flexibility, which most people do, like even if you're working at 8 to 10, you still know that, okay, I'm going to be the most productive from 9 to 12. What do I need to get done that's going to make my employer the happiest? That way I get a fat raise and I can climb up that ladder. Or if you're an entrepreneur, what is the time period that I can get the most shit done to grow my company? And usually what I do is from 9 to 12, I engage in deep work. You guys know that I'm in here. The door's usually closed. But then after noon, I'll come out and I'll help you guys with shit. That's where I'm kind of like bouncing all over Norse doing that kind of shit. But we need to protect our time. Like we said earlier in this episode, time is the most valuable resource. People don't think about it like that though. They think money is. Fuck money. You can make more of it. You can't make more time. The only thing you can do is effectively utilize your time in the best way possible, because it's always ticking. We only have so much time on this planet before eventually we're dead. How are you going to spend that? We need to be making sure that we're utilizing every hour, every minute, or else you don't actually love life. You don't have a lust for life if you're not looking at things on a daily basis in the way that we're talking about on this episode. Which, if you're listening to this, then you probably do. You're someone that wants more for yourself. You're someone that wants more for your community, your tribe, your family, and you want to figure out, how can I be the best version of myself in such a busy world? I just fucked that up. But either way, that's it. I know I just went over a bunch of shit, guys. If you grab the Norse Planner, you will see exactly what I'm talking about here. And if you have any questions, you can hit me up on Instagram. It's at Andrew Cliff Lewis. I will send you a video walking you through it. But moving on top of our daily planning, I think the most important part though is the journaling aspect. For me, this means writing down my goals. It means writing down what I'm grateful for, my top 5 objectives for the day. What are the top 5 things I need to get done in order to win this day? Because there might be 20 things on this list. And realistically, I might not get everything done. But there are 5 priorities that if I get done, I won the day. And then at the end of the day, I write down my victories. What did I accomplish? That also fills me with gratitude, and it fills me with motivation for the next day that's coming as well. And then I write down my goals again. And the reason I write down the goals 2 times per day, once in the morning, once at night, is because when I write it down in the morning, it's top of mind. As I move throughout the day, this is where I'm going to be focusing on. That's going to make sure that the time that I'm spending is working towards my main goals. Then at night, I want it to be the last thing that I think about as I'm drifting off into sleep. Because as we're drifting off into sleep, we enter into theta. Once we enter into theta, our subconscious mind is more subjective to new ideas. Your subconscious mind controls over 90% of your daily actions. If you can convince your subconscious mind that this is the main objective here, this is what we need to fucking accomplish, and you do this every single day with the same goal over and over again, it's just repetition here, eventually you will start moving towards this objective without even realizing it. But that's why I write it down every morning and night. And that's been confusing to people. Well, I do it 2 times per day because they serve 2 different purposes. Some people might think it's an overkill. Well, guess what? I stack more victories on a daily basis than most people do. And I would 100% contribute it to that. I know exactly what I'm working towards at all times. There are goals that we have here at Norse that we've been working towards for over 2 years now. How many people work towards their goals for longer than a month?
I would say a very small amount of people.
Right. We see it every January. I want to lose this amount of weight. They make a decision. They might write it down one time. And then because they're not reminding themselves of it, once that motivation goes away, somehow it just completely vanishes. It's very weird how that works. You know exactly what you want, but then 30 days later, it just kind of goes away because you're not constantly reminding yourself of it. Write it down every day. Say it out loud. Bring it into existence. Visualize yourself accomplishing what you want to accomplish. But everything that I just talked about is also in the Norse Planner on the journal part. So the first thing we do the night before is we write down our plan of attack for the upcoming day. That allows us to wake up with intention, purpose, and start stacking victories. Then we write down our goals, what we're grateful for, top 5 objectives. Then at night, when we're filling out the next day again, we write down our victories for the day and we write down our goals again. That way it's the last thing that we're thinking about as we're going to sleep. Is there anything that you want to add to this before we end the episode?
I think that, everything we talked about is one of the most important factors to living a fulfilling, long life. If you manage your time wisely, if you take time, or if you go into these productive periods and get what you need to get done, and you're able to take time for yourself each and every day because of your time management skills, you find time for yourself in these processes. You do it with intention, you do it with direction. The gratitude is just there almost immediately, because there's nothing more fulfilling to me than, the night before I look at the next day and there is something on every line of my planner. That night, you look back and every one of those things has check marks beside of it. It's one of the best feelings. And like you said, it's a win on the day, but that win on the day doesn't just check for that day. It throws me forward, especially on Monday. Yeah. It just sets the tone for the entire week.
It means you're winning at life.
And like the gratitude comes because you can, besides trying to remember what you've done throughout the day, because that's, in the busy world we live in, I would say that is a very difficult thing to do without writing it down. But the gratitude you get from looking at this list that you just checked off, all right, I got this done, and you can go to bed satisfied with a win. You jump out of bed the next day. If it's early in the week, you're ready to crush the rest of the week and just get after it.
I did all this yesterday. What can I do today? How can I make today even stronger? How can I be even better today? How can I utilize my time here with this precious thing that we have called life to the fullest? We don't do it unless we take the time to intentionally plan everything out. But once you do this, and develop the habit of doing it. That's the hardest part. You can buy the fucking planner, but if you don't use the planner, it's not going to do anything for you. We have to get in the habit of doing it every day. Do it for 30, 60, 90 days. And watch how it transforms your life. After that, you won't even have to think about it. It's just what you do. Every night, you will just gravitate to it. You will write everything out, and you won't have to think anything else about it. But the hardest part here, guys, is going to be making a habit out of this. You might fill it out for 3 days, and then guess what? You're going to self-sabotage. Or life's going to get in the way. Life's going to get busy. You're just going to forget. That doesn't mean that you just throw the planner in the closet or some shit where it's out of sight, out of mind. No, we get back to it. It's just like when we start going to the gym and we're on a good run, right? But then maybe we get sick, or maybe we're just too busy and we can't get in there for a week or two. You have two choices there. You can either get back to it as quickly as possible, start redeveloping that routine, or you can just be a fucking loser and say, well, that's it. I'll start again 9 months from now once January hits. That's not what we fucking do here. Like, make the choice to better yourself, make the choice to live life to its fullest, and utilize every aspect of it that you can. Utilize time because it is the most valuable resource, and we need to recognize this. But you can't do it unless you make that plan of attack. Thank you for listening to another episode of The Norse Mentality. This podcast is a byproduct of Norse Fitness. We make clothing, fitness accessories, supplements, and other tools to help you reach your true potential. If you're interested in grabbing something for yourself, you can go to norsefitness.co and use the code podcast15 to save 15% on your next order.